All right. First of all, happy Valentine's Day, happy Galentine's Day, happy Love Day, happy Sweethearts Day, and all that good stuff to everybody out here. Now, you guys know this is Reality Check and this is Monday night, but it just so happened that this year Valentine's Day fell on a Monday. And so instead of canceling the show, on rescheduling because I know a lot of my audience is probably out having dinner or celebrating. I thought, we're talking about Ready to Love. We got a handsome gentleman that's going to join us. So, let's go ahead and have the conversation today on Valentine's Day. Now, if you guys have been keeping up with what we're doing here at Reality Check, we have been talking to just about every single on their way out of Ready to Love Potomac. Is a very different group of people this season. Also, there have been some curveballs, and one of those curveballs is joining me tonight. Please help me welcome the very distinguished, the very handsome Cousin Cornbread. It is Cornelius.
How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you for joining us. And you guys, I know you're thinking exactly what I was thinking because we heard Cornelius's very distinctive baritone on Ready to Love, but it is just as distinctive here online. So thank you seriously for hanging out with us on Valentine's Day, the day after the Super Bowl. There's so much going on. Before we get into the Ready to Love drama and the fact that you were a curveball, were you happy with the Rams winning the Super Bowl?
I was a little happy with them winning the Super Bowl because I like their individual players, right? I like Odell.
Okay.
I like Stafford when he was with Detroit. I thought he always had a bad deal. So I'm happy about that. I lost some money.
Uh-oh.
I tried to take the underdog when I bet for the Bengals, but Odell did win me some money making the first touchdown catch. So that was my first time betting on sports.
Okay.
And I won some money, so that was good.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. I was torn because I'm always a fan of Odell as well.
Right.
We've had his father here and just kind of follow his career. Really want him to win. So it's like I really wanted to go for the Bengals, but I just couldn't. So when I could not bet against Odell, so I didn't do it. I'm glad I didn't because I would have lost some money.
Right.
My Valentine's Day go bad, but I would have lost some money, so I didn't. Now, what did you think of? Because I always watch, football is cool on occasion, depending on who's playing, but I always watch the Super Bowl for the halftime concert. What were your thoughts on Dr. Dre's presentation with everybody last night? Who's the good, the bad, and the ugly? Give it to me, Cornelius.
I thought overall it was. I thought it was pretty good. I don't really think anything was bad, honestly. I thought the Kendrick Lamar part was kind of weird.
Okay.
It wasn't bad, but I just didn't understand the concept. And so I thought that maybe I'm just not deep enough to understand.
Are you a Kendrick fan? Do you know the music, or is that kind of like out of your wheelhouse?
No, yeah, I like Kendrick. I'm actually a big West Coast music fan, even though I'm from DC.
Okay.
I grew up listening to a bunch of West Coast music. So Dr. Dre, Snoop, all the old school MC8, all this kind of old West Coast stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it. I like Mary Styles in the boots coming out, looking good. They talking about my boy 50 Cent, talking about he gained a little weight. But listen, he a million.
I thought he was gonna fall. I'm a 50 fan, but I thought he was gonna come down. It was not the same. It did not give the same. I don't look the same as I did when 50 song came out, and neither does 50. 50 does not look the same.
And people's bodies changes. Everybody look different. So, we can't hate on him for that. But he looks normal, right? He just don't have a six pack and all the stuff he was training for.
He don't look like he look. You know what that would have been the equivalent of? Cornelius, if you came on here and you lost your voice. That's what that would have been.
Right.
Because when he was in that on that record, he did that record. We were very appreciative of what he had going on when he came down. I'll never forget that scene. That's why I was like, whoa, I wish he would have did that. I wish he would have did that, but I enjoyed it. I really liked. I'm a big, if you grew up in the 90s, you're a big West Coast. Death Row was dope. You know what I think was extremely dope is the fact that Snoop bought Death Row And so for him to now own Death Row and them to be performing together, that was like
Oh, I don't think I knew that. Snoop bought Death Row.
Snoop now owns Death Row Records.
When did that happen?
Last week, actually, like right
Oh,
before the Super Bowl, a little bit before the Super Bowl, but it was
wow.
like a full circle. Like that's really dope. Those memories we all have
Right.
at that time. So anyway, I just had to talk to you a little bit about that because it's the day after the Super Bowl. Everybody was up
Right.
last night watching, celebrating.
Right.
Um, and I'm assuming you were a football fan. So okay,
I
so
am.
so Donnie said he owns the brand, not the catalog. That's fine. It's
Oh,
still
okay.
still Death Row. It's still Death Row, and it's still a very big part of what made him a household name, and
Right.
Dr. Dre. So
Right.
I thought that was extremely dope for that to happen right before the Super Bowl. And Snoop is somebody you can't help but love him because he puts out so much love and good energy. So
Yeah. What they call Uncle Snoop. He do so many things, right? He does everything.
he does
Right.
everything, but he doesn't take himself too seriously, and I feel like he's not a hater. You know what I mean? And I think when you're not a hater, good things come to you. So it was good to see him and Dr. Dre
Yeah.
reconnect. Actually, I'm an Eminem fan. Eminem is dope. I
Yeah.
don't, you can't. Color doesn't come into talent, so he's super dope. That record, "Lose Yourself," is one of the biggest records ever, and I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
Kendrick, everybody was a good.
Yeah. Eminem is. I don't even know any. I don't understand why Eminem ever gets hate.
I don't
Like
know.
he's besides all some of his content is crazy and weird, but his rapping skills are undeniable. There's no way anybody can debate. He's one of the top rappers of all time.
Yeah,
Just
great lyricist.
period.
Just dope. Yeah, everybody's content could be a little off. Most rappers, just
Yeah.
never know. But he's super dope, and I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
Mary is the queen, and you're right, she did look amazing. She did look.
I do anytime Mary come on the club or something, I do the Mary dance for like about 3 seconds. You gotta bust out the leg to the side and go Mary joint. Just
Yeah,
real
that's
quick
her
to represent.
signature. That's her signature. And I think just like with Snoop, Mary is she does her. She's consistent.
Right.
She never tries to go a different way. She stays consistent to her audience, and I think people love her for that. So let's get into the love. It's Valentine's Day, Cornelius.
Yeah.
And you went home right before Valentine's Day, Friday.
Yeah.
We watched you have your last hoorah on Ready to Love after being one of the curveballs. You came in right after the top of the show and kind of shook things up for the ladies. Were you surprised? Your line that cracked me up is like, man, I've never been friend zoned by 7 people at the same time.
Yeah.
So were you surprised at the fact that you were not ready to love?
I actually was. I didn't expect that at all at that point. Just because of the timing of those things, sometimes, y'all don't see kind of the timing of all the stuff really, the way they shoot it and everything. But I didn't really get a lot of time with the ladies, right? Like, so if they ask them the question of who you got the best connection with, then there's really the way the timing was, there's really no way for me to catch up as the curveball, in my opinion, anyway. If the guys are talking to them and they boo loving and falling in love and halfway to the altar by the time I meet them, then of course they're gonna say, well, I got a better connection with Clifton, or I got a better connection with Wiley, or whatever the case may be, right? So I thought that, it put me in a situation where I need a little bit more time to catch up. And just my personality, most likely, because I'm more laid back and chill. I'm not really a forceful chaser type person. That probably set me back a little bit. So yeah. But I definitely was surprised because like I said, I never, I don't think I'm the finest dude in the world or whatever. Right. But hey, I ain't never heard of 7 ladies saying, "Oh, nah, we good." They said we've seen more than enough. I said, "Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy."
I do agree with you because in the fact of with the curveball, you guys don't really have. You got to get in and you got to get in and go. This show moves very fast. But I will ask you this because from what we saw, and you've seen the edit, we know a lot happens behind the scenes that we don't get a chance to see.
Right.
It did seem like I want to ask you, like, what was your best case scenario from the show? because we had Tiffany on. Is it
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany? And she, she was sharing that. Well, we saw the episode where you kind of were like, wow, she wants to get married. She wants to immediately get married. And that wasn't really, you were kind of taken a little bit aback by how it seemed, at least from the edit, you were taken aback by how serious she was about, this is what I want. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not open for, long-term relationship. I want the actual, the wedding.
Right.
So for you, because a lot of people come to this show, it's called Ready to Love, but a lot of people are feeling like it's ready to be married or ready to enter that.
Right.
What was best case scenario for Cornelius if it wasn't, if getting married was seemed a little bit forward for you?
Well, I didn't think so. Just like you mentioned, the edits and everything. The way they splice stuff together is one thing, right? So
Okay.
I wasn't really mad. I wasn't worried about Tiff being having a definite definition of what she wanted in a particular view and plan for her life. I thought it made perfect sense, right?
Okay.
And so
Okay.
what I said is the full statement was basically this, which is, yeah, she had we had a back and forth about um, life partners versus wives and husbands.
Right.
That was the conversation.
Okay.
And so what I said is, I said, it could be interchangeable in my opinion, and everybody who's happy is not necessarily married and vice versa. Just because marriage is not the thing that dictates happiness, and it doesn't necessarily validate your relationship or your connection.
True.
And so, and I was like, her unwillingness, because we had a whole big debate about it. So her unwillingness to accept my version of what creates a valid dating scenario, a valid love, and all those things. I said that was the part that gave me a little bit of negativity, because she was like, nah, she like steadfast on this what she want to do. But
Yeah.
the fact that she knew what she wanted, I thought that was great. I think that's perfect, because now she knew, just like she said, if somebody like me comes at her and we're having this discussion, she already knows, she knows her parameters, and she can get me out of there quick. And that's perfect for her, right? That's fine. I had no problem with that. So
Right.
I definitely didn't take that as negative. I took the fact, the part y'all don't see is the debate we had, where it was kind of like a thing where it seemed like she was unwilling to budge off of or accept my definition as well. We both got two different opinions about it. So that was the thing. But my best case scenario is, I find somebody dope that matches me. We have an organic connection, and and then we go right off into the sunset, and then be off into whatever it's going to be, right? But I didn't, in my opinion, when I was coming, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to go to the altar tomorrow.
Okay.
You got some other reality shows where they actually get married right
Yeah.
off the top.
Yeah.
But I didn't look at it as that, it being that. I figured you get there, you establish this connection, and you establish if it's a strong connection, if it's a functional connection, if it's a fulfilling connection, and then you go from there.
Okay.
So that was my best case scenario. Meet somebody I wouldn't come across under normal circumstances. If you're working too much, some people, that they pull together based on our personality test and all those things that we do to prepare for the show. I figured they would come up, personality test, what you like, what you don't like, and they would pull people together that matched on some of those things. So that was my best case scenario, that I was depending on kind of the expert behind the scenes to bring in people that would, match up well with me.
Okay. Well, let us get to know a little bit more about Cornelius, because you were kind of thrown in. We didn't get with most of the cast, we get a chance to kind of get to know them a little bit better.
Right.
Even before, we didn't have that this season, but in other seasons, there's like a casting special where they go into depth and tell you a little bit about it. From what we saw and some of the comments, people are saying that it did seem like you were a little hesitant to get into a serious relationship, and maybe you weren't as serious. That's what I was like, well, I need to talk to Cornelius on Monday, because it does seem like he wasn't, you did seem very, from the edits, very hesitant to get into something serious long term, especially with the idea of marriage. So tell us a little bit about what brought you to Ready to Love. Like, what were your situations? Because there are a lot of men that are like, I'm not into the paperwork and the, I don't necessarily need the courts in my relationship. Is that where you're coming from, or is this just, let us know where that comes from, the conversation that you had with Tiffany?
Again, I think, like you said, it's edits, right?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the context of the way they cut to the negativity part, that wasn't the context of what I was saying. The context of what I was saying was about our debate about what our idea of a successful relationship would look like. Not necessarily that she wanted a husband, or even when we saw the excuse me, when we saw the date with the Kia, for instance, and they said, she mentioned something, and they cut to me saying, "Oh, she wants a commitment. That's crazy," or something crazy like that, right? And I was like, I didn't say that. Like, because it's not even consistent, in my opinion, right? Like, why would I come on the show to tell everybody that y'all shouldn't be committed? that doesn't even make any sense, right? So I could understand why people, the fans and things like everybody watching, are gonna be like, where this person come from over here coming on a dating show where they looking for love and talking about he not. But that's not what I was presenting. But again, if the context is removed, it's going to look a little weird, right?
Okay.
But for me, like, I'm not against commitment or anything like that. I'm not a commitment phobe at all, right?
Okay.
I've had plenty of relationships, long-term relationships. I'm a serial relationship. Yeah, I always have a girlfriend or something like that, right? So the idea that I'm against commitment is not the situation at all. As far as the marriage and paperwork and all that stuff, like I said, I met women. I do a podcast too where I bring on people and we talk about some women who also feel like they don't necessarily need the marriage part because of all their own personal reasons. I know divorcees who hated their whole life while they were married, right?
Yeah.
They'd rather be somewhere else. So I don't focus on a marriage, like, not a tick box I need specifically for me. But I'm not against it. I think everybody needs what they want. I would get married. I was close to getting married before, right?
That's what I'm gonna ask you. So what is your outlook on marriage? Have you seen marriages that is that something that you have seen that you have thought I would want to be there, or are you kind of just like, if it happens, it happens, but I'm not focused on it?
Yeah, I'm more so, I see both sides of it, right?
Okay.
So I definitely see some of my friends, some of my family who have awesome marriages, right? And I'm like, I like that part of, hey, it's a consistent thing. You know what you're going to get, you know what you're going back to every day, and it's somebody that you can share long-term memories with. Y'all can recall the same things from 10, 15, 20 years ago. And those are things that are great to share with kids, share with just other people, friends, and family. I do appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot, actually. So yeah, I don't, but of course there's the other side to it as well. But I like that part, right? I see, some of my homies and everything, they just be out here living their best little married life. And I'm like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So I don't focus necessarily on the negative versions of the marriage too, because everything has problems. There's good and bad side to everything. So I used to be more of a pessimistic person as far as, focus on some of the negative things. But like I said, one of the clips they talked about how I like mental health therapy, right? So, through stuff like that and just evolving, I'm like, you know what? There's no reason for me to focus on these failures, right? You need to go back and look at the successes and the positive things that you can pull from these relationships. And especially if you're dating somebody where that's important to them. There's going to be accommodations that you need to make, and there's going to be things that might not be your jam necessarily, but that don't mean it's going to be a horrible sacrifice or something like that for you to make in order to make that work. And if you care about that person, then you do that.
You be open, but ideally, I think, and I can't speak for all women, but I think most women want we don't want him to do it for us, right? You want him to do it you want him to want to do. You don't want him to say, well, she wants to get married, I really don't want to get married.
Right.
So that's not really what but I think that people should, what you said initially, you should, whatever works for you is what works for you. And if a man doesn't feel 100% comfortable, you should not do it. I do think somebody said it was too soon for that type of conversation. For some people, I think. Did you feel like everything was just moving way, very, very quickly as far as joining the cast? How did you feel as far as like the conversations with the women
Mhm.
and was it easy? Was it not easy? How did it feel to you when you were thrown into the mix?
Because I came in blind, right?
Yeah.
I literally, not only did I go on a blind date, right, specifically, but I guess depending on what they wanted to do as far as production and everything, I didn't know what was going on. So like,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the mansion parties and all this stuff.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
when I knew that there was supposed to be one and stuff like that, but I had no clue about what was going on, where they had gone, how long they were going, what day it was, nothing. So when I get there, when I met Ace on the first date,
Hmm.
that was my first introduction to everything. That was my first introduction to the team, Ace, production, shoot, everything.
Hmm.
So it was a thing where I did feel like I needed to catch up a little bit,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that it was going to be kind of as fast. I thought I would get allowed more time to interact as opposed to it just being like, all right, one day, are y'all in love or not? Right. So like I went on a date with Ace. I went on a date with we went on the group date with Paul and the three ladies.
Yeah,
And
that was.
then yeah, I liked that date, right? But I didn't really get a chance to interact with everybody, right? At that date. Didn't get their phone numbers and stuff like that. That was another situation that was a little off, right? Just because of when we rap, all these things, so I can't even contact them.
Mm-hmm.
Things
Oh
like
wow!
that.
So you don't really have a chance to really move because you can't
Yeah.
even
And
have a way
so
to contact them. What did you think when you first met Ace? Because I think this is the first season that they've done the blind dates. So
mhm.
we're trying to get Tommy in here to talk about that. But have you done a blind date before? And how did this one, if you have, how did this one, kind of compare to a regular blind date?
Yeah, I've been on one blind date before this.
Okay.
Um, and it was just as blind as this one, really. Right. One of my friends has a matchmaking business that she was running. And she was like, "Oh, I want to send you on a date, but I'm not gonna tell you nothing and just trust me." So I went on it. It was good. And it's clearly it's a little different because this stuff is for the process that we were in for Ready to Love. But
Right.
I thought that I like Ace. I like Ace personality,
Yeah.
right? I thought we had a great conversation. There was a lot of stuff that didn't make the edit, right? That we talked about outside of the mental health stuff, outside of me just talking about, oh, I like sex and all that kind of like. We talked about a plethora of things, even about
Okay.
her Reiki and all this kind of stuff that she does, and how I'm in the Reiki and all a lot of stuff that was
Yeah,
missing
we
from
didn't
that.
see that. We wouldn't have known that you were into Reiki.
Yeah, like it's so much. But the whole thing about it, I'm way more complex and evolved than it looked like. It looked like real on there. I look like I'm a real like goofy simpleton. Like I don't want no commitment. Like what you talking about?
Well, I wouldn't say goofy simpleton, but I definitely would never have thought you were into Reiki.
Yeah, like we talked about her energy stuff that she does, energy works, even at the pay and sip. Some stuff they didn't show, which is we were talking about her stones that she was wearing at the paint and sip because she was at the paint and sip with us, right? So all those types of things I thought that were important and that were good interactions that I had with the women, right?
Mhm, mhm.
I think some of that stuff was kind of left off, or even
Yeah.
my date with Carmen, for instance, they ain't showed none of that,
Well,
right?
let's talk about that because let's talk about who just off the physical because you've mentioned Mary J's thighs, so we know you are a shapely woman.
Yeah.
Um, what who were you attracted to? Who would you have wanted to reach out to? If you had the opportunity and had access, who do you wish that you've been able to reach out to and kind of cultivate a little bit of a connection?
You said just on the physical stuff?
Let's go on physical first, and then we'll talk about once the personalities there. But let's just talk about blind, like you just see the ladies, you saw the ladies.
Yeah.
Who did you want to, get next to?
I would say probably Joy.
Everybody
Joy.
likes Joy. Okay.
Everybody like Joy. Joy.
Everybody likes Joy.
I told her You know, I told her, I was like, you look like she computer generated. I'm like, this look like she fake because she's so beautiful. I was like, man, she great. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So Joy, Carmen, and let me see. Probably I wasn't on the show I wasn't there when they had Keena on there. But I like Keena too. I
Yeah.
think Keena she looked good.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So Joy, Carmen. So tell us about the day with Carmen, because we didn't even know. I didn't know, and that would have been cool because you guys both came in at the same time.
We were both the curveballs, right?
Both the first curveball. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, I thought our date was great, right? And so, one of the things I was disappointed about, they didn't show that,
Okay.
right? So I think
Where'd you guys go? How was the conversation?
our conversations were good. We talked a lot about it's a joke within our, within the cast about, because she talked, they were at the women's lounge and everything. So they heard her talking about our date. And one of the things we were talking about at the time we were shooting, it was pumpkin season, right?
Okay.
And I have a thing where I like pumpkin spice stuff, and I got a thing called Blacks for Pumpkin Spice, right?
Okay.
Because I think black people would always they don't like pumpkin spice because it's like some kind of weirdo thing where we not supposed to eat pumpkin, only sweet potato pie.
Right. Yeah.
Right? You like where they come from? But anyway, so I thought that we went to I can't remember the name of the place, but it was just some restaurant that we, sat at the bar. I think it was an Asian type of
Cuisine.
restaurant.
Okay.
And yeah, I thought we had a great conversation. And I think Carmen did too, honestly.
What did you like about Carmen? We saw the guys when she was introduced for the group date. And she, well, first of all, she mentioned that her hair was real, and she wanted to make sure that the camera caught that, which
right.
That I guess like you said, you got to use your voice. That's your superpower. Everybody is trying to pull what is their superpower. So for her hair is very beautiful, and she mentioned that. And then also. One of the gentlemen had an issue with the fact that she had the contacts in. So what was so you were attracted to Carmen. What did you like about her on that date?
Attracting, I mean, she just has a great body. I mean, I'm a curves person.
Okay.
I love curves, hips, thighs, like all that.
Yeah.
Coming in looking like Jessica Rabbit. That's how when she came on our date, she looked like that. She came in with this dress on, and it was blue, my favorite color, blue, right? Okay. So she came in looking good, hair looked good, makeup looked good.
Yeah.
Had on the blue dress looking, straight hourglass. Yeah, just popping. And so I was like, oh, okay, I see it. They talked about how she works with, athletes and all this stuff. We talked about that. And about how she, even though she's in that field and all these things doing, events with the athletes, around all these millionaires and all this stuff, and how that affects how she views dating or how other men that she dates get intimidated by things like that. I'm like, I don't care about stuff like that. Who cares, right? If you say you're interested in me, then I'm gonna believe you, right? Until you give me a reason not to, right? So, but luckily, she ain't have one of the contacts on our date. Okay. So I remember in the gentleman's lounge, y'all saw that when Clifton was talking about her contacts.
Yeah.
I at that point I hadn't met her.
Okay.
And so so I hadn't met her, so I was just hearing this stuff. And so I was like, oh, he hated those damn contacts, right? But when she came to our date, she didn't have the contacts on. So I didn't experience that Carmen, the blue contact Carmen version. But we had a whole bunch of stuff. I mean,
the curves and the natural tresses, Carmen. That's all.
Yeah, I got the curves, natural hair, pumpkin spice drinking Carmen. That was down to earth, not all this, all the kind of fluff that it kind of seems like she be on, like, based on how she's getting presented a little bit.
Right.
I think she's definitely more down to earth, I guess, than even she's trying to present, in my opinion, right? I think sometimes people, they do a little bit, try to size it up a little bit.
For TV, right?
Yeah.
And stay on, make an impression on television. There's got to be a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it makes sense. But during our discussion, I think she's very intelligent. She knows what she wants. She has a lot of experience. She's been in the military and all these types. She's a very well evolved. Not evolved. Evolved not the right word, but she's a very multi-dimensional,
well-rounded.
yeah, well-rounded person. She's multi-dimensional. So I like Carmen. I think we had a good conversation, a good little connection.
Okay. And who else did you say besides Carmen? Well, obviously Joy.
You're on the looks. Oh yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
Joy. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody that once you had a chance to hang around their vibe, you were like, okay, I want to get to know her a little bit better, or I wish I had a chance to get to know her a little better.
That's the thing. I didn't hang around nobody.
Oh damn.
So the way the blind date stuff was, like, all of my dates were blind dates. So I
Oh,
was
in your group dates, you didn't know who was coming or
nah,
what was going to happen.
right. So I was never even my group dates were blind for me. Right. So
Okay.
like y'all saw that when I met Paul, I just met Paul.
Okay.
And the three ladies come in, but Paul had already met those ladies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even at the paint and sip, all the ladies were familiar with each other, but they brought in Eric. Right. So Eric was another blind date that came in. So he was new but he came after me. So but yeah, I thought Dakia and I had a good conversation. At the paint and sip. She got a good vibe. We keep in contact still at this point. Just on some friendly stuff. I think Dakia is another person. She's being presented as a boss and doing all this stuff, and she's a very dynamic person as well. So it's good. It's good to get to know her a little bit.
I was going to ask
Same with Keena. Same with Keena. I talked to Keena a little bit, even just recently with Super Bowl stuff. I like, she got a good vibe to her too.
You better reach out, Cornelius. I'm here for it. I like Keena. I mean, first day,
Yeah.
that's rough. I don't think she had a chance to I don't think she had a chance to really get settled. But one of the things that she did say that I really appreciated is that she really felt like she didn't put herself out there. Maybe she was kind of guarded. And this show, if we don't learn anything else, we learn that when you're dating, you got to be willing to, put yourself out there and take a chance a little bit. And she acknowledged that, which I thought was dope on her part, even though, I mean, it's kind of hard, that first date, that's somebody gonna go. Somebody got to go.
Right. Especially if you're not aggressive with it, I acknowledge that too. I'm not, I could have been if I would have known kind of, I didn't know I didn't know I even had the opportunity I didn't even know I would be in the running to get voted off that quick, put it that way. Okay. So if they would have been like, hey, look, you got to catch up. You can get canned like in 2 days, then I'd have been like, all right, let me make some better moves, or let me force my way to get these interactions in, instead of kind of depending on the fact that it would be more of a natural occurrence, put it that way.
But that probably wouldn't work. If you force something, it comes off as corny. So I think you probably did. It probably worked out. Was supposed to work. Yeah. I did want to ask you, because that's true. Dakia is, there's this whole idea, and one of the things that I enjoy doing with this show is kind of breaking down the stereotypes, the negative stereotypes that we have about each other, Black men and Black women, especially. And so she's got, there's this idea of a woman not being able, actually one of the guys, I believe it was Dimitri, I think it was Demetrius, I'm not sure, said with Dakia, is she able to take the boss hat off? Like, we don't know if she's able to do that. So I want to ask your opinion. How do you see the dynamic between men and women? Are you able, I assume so, because of, you mentioned with Carmen, she's around millionaires. She's very business driven. We see that she's got she's obviously doing really well in her career. Do you have a problem with that? Do you prefer more traditional roles? How do you see the woman that's very career oriented working with your personality? And do you prefer somebody that kind of lets you be the boss, in the relationship? What's Cornelius's thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, I don't have any issues with career driven women. I don't have any issues with boss personas and all that stuff. It's not a threat to me, right? I don't base my worthiness or my manhood or my ability to lead in the relationship or in the household off of so whoever is the boss or presents as the boss or is making the most money or whatever the case may be, right? So to
Right.
me, you're gonna, even these boss women like the Key or Carmen, whoever, they're not always gonna be in that role. I don't work with them. Right? Like I don't work with them. Like that's not they bosses over there in their businesses and in
Right.
their business life.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, it would be silly for me to feel threatened by that. And it'll also, them being like that is also positive for me because of course I want a boss. Because even if you get married, marriage is a business in real life too, right? So you want somebody who's able to pull these different bring different perspectives into it and different tactics and making y'all as a unit a
Yeah.
better situation, right? So
Absolutely.
and then the situations where you need to defer to her, that's great, right? Like if Carmen is an event planner and I got an event for my real estate business, I know I can go to her and be like, "Hey, boo, we gotta do this," and she's a professional with that. That's what she's gonna lead with that. But if she need real estate stuff done, guess who's the boss in that situation?
You got it.
Cornelius, right?
Right. Right.
So same with the Kia. The Kia is, she does science and she do, I call her the deep space dancing diva because she do all that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if I need to know something about what NASA doing or with, something about dancing crews or something like that, that's where she is the professional. That's where she needs to take the lead. I don't got no problem deferring to that because you're gonna make it a better situation for us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's another situation, like I host events. If she need an event host, I'm the professor. I'm the boss in that situation. So boss is not, to me, is not universal.
Yeah.
All the time. And so anybody that's threatened to be, about, in my opinion, if you're threatened by that, you're not understanding the benefit it can have for both of y'all.
I like
And it's a narrow view of what these people bring to the table. You want somebody to compliment you like that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't want nobody who don't think they a boss or act like that in real life.
Say that, but I agree with you. I think a lot of time it's insecurity, or I've heard some men say that they feel like the woman is going to throw it in their face or use it against them. So I think, but it definitely has to come from a place of insecurity. Tell me, what do you see about roles as far as managing the household? One of the issues on this show that has consistently come up is, how do you see your role as a provider? Do you have a problem if the woman makes more money than you? Do you feel like you should be the one that takes care of the household bills? Should you guys do that together? How do you see that in a perfect relationship for you?
I don't think I don't think I need to be paying all the bills, or I need to be, or she needs to be in the kitchen all day for us to define those as our roles in the household. I think some gender roles are very outdated and ridiculous at this point, right? Like, because say for instance, me and the kid to get together, it'll be silly for me to be like, "Nah, go quit all your jobs and go cook and iron my drawers." Like, what? That don't even make no sense, right? And
Right.
so, I'm not a very traditional chauvinist type. I don't have all that stuff, right? I
Okay.
think that people bring different benefits to a relationship. Like I can cook,
We
right?
did that. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I can cook great. So I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna stay out the kitchen because you the woman and you supposed to be in the kitchen," right?
Right. Right.
Or if she's making 5 times the more money, like, wow, of course it'll be beneficial to us for her to, we might get a better house because she got more money, right?
Right.
Or vice versa. If I make the most, it's fine, but you just come up with your own plan, right? I don't go into any situation applying some kind of template to the relationship and saying, "Nah, we all gonna do this," or like, "This is what we're gonna do," regardless of who the participants are, right? Everybody's different, and so I think people are weird, in my opinion, when they say, "No, these are the specific roles you got to play, and that's it," and I'm unmovable on that. It's
Yeah.
just, to me, is not a logical way to approach your relationship at all,
Yeah.
because everybody's not the same. People have different benefit, different opinions and different things to bring to the relationship. So
Yeah. So the next thing I want, because did you see Ready to Love prior to coming on the show? Did you watch any of the episodes first?
Yeah.
What did you take from it that made you want to sign up for the show?
Um, I thought that I liked the fact that it was a black cast.
Okay. Okay.
um, and that typically they had a pretty good representation of black men on
Hmm.
this particular series. Um, a lot of these reality series we having black men looking crazy,
Yeah.
right?
True.
Um, and so I thought that that was a good thing. I thought that it was, they have the element of like I said, with the personality test and things like that. I thought that was the main thing for me
Okay.
because I said, well, if y'all are going to be, we took these tests that's like 3 hours long, interviews with therapists, all this kind of stuff. And so if y'all are putting that much effort into learning our personalities, when you're bringing these people together, I should have a better chance of meeting somebody that's going to be on the same page or the
Right.
same wave or the same vibe or whatever you want to call it
Hmm.
as I am,
Yeah.
right? And it'll just be up to me in order to navigate through the rest of them to see who it is that I connect with in that situation. So
Hmm.
I like that element of it. Um, I like the round robin stuff about it, kind of, right? Like where everybody has a chance to interact with other people,
Yeah.
right? I've been in monogamous relationships, I've been in polyamorous relationships, right? So
Oh,
I'm used
now we're getting into it.
to
Now
right.
we're somewhere.
So you got, so I like that element of it because it's real life, right?
Yeah.
Like people really date multiple people at one time. That's real life. Some
Yeah.
of these things, people are like, oh well, we meet you today and now we go together. You're not supposed to talk to nobody else. That's
Yeah.
not real life. Everybody dating multiple people most of the time,
That's true.
especially if you look halfway decent. And you
You
don't even gotta look halfway decent,
just
right?
have to see it, and I think this show forces people to be honest. Um,
Right.
did you see someone in the prior cast that you would have wanted to talk to?
Um, I can't. The funny thing is, I was thinking about this on the Houston cast. I can't remember the lady's name, but she was the lady who she was holding out till marriage to have sex. I can't remember her name.
Was it? It was. Did she end up leaving with
On,
somebody?
on Houston, yeah,
Was it Liz?
Liz. Yeah,
Liz.
I like Liz. I like Sabrina. I think she was in the first Houston section.
Okay.
Um, Winter. I liked
Winter.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So there were a few women on the previous ones. I was like, oh.
And that's why you signed up. Like if they got that.
Yeah, I was like, if they got that, yeah, I need to go over there because
Yeah.
they ain't at the local bar where I be going to, or they don't be at the bowling alley. You hear me?
They're not going to be there. Well, it's a mix. So if you guys are just joining us, first of all, I want to say happy Valentine's Day and thank you so much for tuning in on this day of love. Remember, Valentine's Day, you can celebrate it regardless if you're in a relationship or not, because we all need to be in a beautiful relationship with ourselves, which is why I am sporting this tank that says Endless Self Love by Dayo Women. You can get this by going to DAYOwomen.com just to remind yourself to love yourself. So there's no such thing as people get depressed on Valentine's Day. I spent a lot of Valentine's days single and I started taking myself out. I know my last Valentine's Day single, I took myself to Hawaii. So enjoy yourself. If you got a boo, if you don't, it's all about love and loving those around you and being thankful. But we're talking to Cornelius, and Cornelius just threw me a bone. Cornelius just said that he has been in polyamorous relationships. And I got to ask you about that, Cornelius. Number one, I'm just curious. What does that look like? Because, of course, from what we saw of you on the show, you did seem very one-dimensional, like a country guy, one dimensional. But this shows us a very different Cornelius. And I'm just wondering what did you learn from being in a relationship? Was it one relationship or was it several? And what did you learn from that for your future? Would you be open to doing that again? Or is that something that you just, experienced at one time in your life? But we're curious. We want to know.
Well, I think the thing is that, I've been in two, technically two polyamorous relationships, right?
Okay.
And so, but I
How did
think,
that look? Was it you and two women, you and a woman and another man? What was the layout of the
oh
poly?
yeah, so yeah, myself and two women.
Okay. Of course.
Yeah, I'm not into men at all.
Okay.
But ain't nothing wrong with it, but that's not my jam.
Got you.
Um, so there was the with the I'm sorry, the way the dynamics were set up were two different ways. One of them, my girlfriend at the time, she brought me into it. That was my first one, and she
Okay.
had a girlfriend, and so she wanted us all to be in a relationship together.
Okay.
So that was my introduction to it, right?
Interesting. What were you thinking initially? Were you like, this is awesome? Or
Well, yeah, I was like, oh, this is great. Right? I was like, this is the bomb right here, right? Like, why, and why not, right? Because I'm a very self-assured person, and
Mhm.
get I don't take offense to a lot of things, right? So if you like this other woman or you in love with this other woman and have a relationship with her, it doesn't really affect me unless it does, right? So like unless you're like, oh no, I hate you because I love her instead. Now that's a problem. But
Mhm.
I don't make artificial problems. I don't manufacture problems based on what I assume might happen. Or
Well,
what.
that's a reality check for tonight. I don't make artificial problems because a lot of people do. You assume something, and then you
Yeah.
call a whole issue going on because you're assuming. So she brings you in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's your girlfriend, and then
Mm-hmm.
she has a girlfriend. Now,
Mm-hmm.
how does that dynamic switch to? Are you and the girlfriend now equally connected, just like you and your original girlfriend? How does that? How does that work?
In the first one, it wasn't necessarily an equality thing. A lot
Hmm.
of people think that a lot of stuff is about like kind of a ranking or a pecking order.
Yeah.
And the ones I've been in haven't been based on a hierarchy and things like that. A lot of people do have hierarchies and stuff like
Mhm.
that, but I haven't been in that situation. And that
Okay.
situation is what you call a V, right? Where my girlfriend was the center and she had me and she had her
Okay.
other girlfriend, but we
Gotcha.
didn't have a connection. We
Oh,
we we didn't date. We
so
knew about each other. We knew about each other. We didn't date necessarily, right?
okay.
So that dynamic was my girlfriend was the center, and and we were her partners, right? I didn't have
Interesting.
a problem with that, right?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
one of the things I learned in that, and which I still use in any type of relationship, monogamous, polyamorous, whatever, is that the main thing about all relationships, romantic, business, whatever you do,
Mhm.
always be transparent,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Transparency is the thing that solves a lot of relationship issues, in my opinion, right? So,
Mhm.
because like I said, a lot of people going around, like we talked about earlier, acting like they only dating one person when they dating seven, like we see on the show,
Yeah.
right? But a lot of people will lie. A lot of people used to all that toxic cover up behavior
Mhm.
that is just like embedded in our dating life. And that's what we're told to do. Hide this from this person if you want to be with them, because they ain't gonna understand nothing else, right?
Right.
They
Right.
not gonna understand you might be dating somebody else, or you have a love interest over here, or your love style is different.
Mhm.
So, but as long as you're transparent, and I tell especially men, I always tell them, I'm like, stop lying. There's no reason to lie. If the woman likes you, she mess with you, y'all vibing. The reason most women get upset is because you lied about it, not because of whatever it is you're actually doing.
Or maybe she just don't. I
Or
agree
she,
she shouldn't lie, but if I don't want, I think that a lot of times men lie because if I don't want to be I don't want to be a part of a V, and you want to be, then you need to find another woman because there. Trust me, there is no reason to lie now. There
right,
are numerous women that are
yeah,
okay with being a part of that, so you should
right,
go and find that. But a lot of times, the man will still want to be with the woman that doesn't want that, and then
right.
that causes a then that's a problem because now not only are you lying, but you are hurting the person that doesn't want to be a part of the V. So I think that
Exactly.
yeah, I like truthful people because it's just like with Tiffany, if she tells you that I want to get married, that's what I want. You know that that's not 100% what you want right away. Then you can keep it moving. If a guy says, "Hey, I'm not into," and I I live in Atlanta, so a lot of guys are very clear. I want a woman that's open to me being in a relationship with other women.
Hmm.
then you should go and find that, sir, and I could be your friend, you know, and that's
Exactly.
cool. But when you try to force something and lie to somebody, then that's the problem. So kudos to you
Yeah.
for not doing that. So we're gonna get to the cat pimp. A lot of people are asking about pimp, but I want you to finish the polyamorous lessons, because we always talk to people about what lessons they learn, because if you don't learn your lesson, you're gonna repeat it over and over again. So what else can you tell us from someone who's transparent about that type of dynamic that helps you moving forward in other relationships?
You know, I had already kind of did this anyway. I'm very I try to keep myself organized as far as time goes. One of the main things, especially if you're doing polyamorous dating, you need to be a great time management person. Like, because you think that one woman wants your time, they go, especially, you know, depending on what your dynamic is, you go have to make that time. So I tell everybody, make sure you get very proficient at using your Google Calendar and sort it by color. You know what I'm talking about? Like, because that's what you got to do. You become a very proficient person with your time management skills are very important, because you don't want anybody to ever feel neglected. Right. And learn their love languages and all that kind of stuff. Because you might be with somebody who requires a ton of time, and this other person might not.
Yeah.
Right. Or they might require you to tell them certain things. The other person might require you to show up.
Right.
You know, somebody might need acts of service. So talk about all that stuff about your love languages, so that you know, especially if you're trying to deal with multiple partners, it's not easy. It's not fun and games. So when you do that, it's even more work. Right. It's even more work. But you gotta be able to master those things even before you try to do all that. Before you try to get with 2 or 3 women or whatever the case, or 2 or 3 men. I tell people this all the time. Most of the people in the poly community, the nucleuses of those relationships are usually women. That's a whole nother conversation. But
we have to talk about that. Okay.
especially here in the DC area. Put
So
it that way.
nucleus is the woman, which means that it's women with having multiple men, or it's just,
they could be any kind of partners. They could be men, they could be women, they could be whatever.
Okay, but a woman is the one that, because that's a lot. I would just think that it would be better if everybody was equal, and that way, you know, I've got to only do one Valentine's Day. I can't do but if I got, you know, multiple partners, we all together, then we all have Valentine's Day together. I cannot imagine. Did you have to do Valentine? Well, your girl was the one. Did she do separate Valentine's? Like, that's a lot. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. That's a lot.
And the thing about it, you know, one thing about all this, people get into all this poly stuff or whatever. It's like a really hot topic now and all this stuff. But in real life, there is no definition about how you got to run your dynamic. Everybody's dynamic is completely different, right? And it's all, like I said, to me, it all goes back to communication. And don't try to sweep stuff under the rug. Don't try to overlook things that you know are important to you. You as a person, you got to understand yourself first, so you can present that well to somebody else, and they can understand you. That's like what I said with Tiff, right? Even with the Tiff situation, I had no problem with that. I said, of course, it makes perfect sense that you want a husband right now. This is the path you on. I don't got no problem with that.
Yeah, I got an extra stage left, because that's not for me. Well, tell it, because you told the story with so much emotion about the cat pimp. Tell us about what. Tell us about pimp. That was, and first of all, it is. I think people responded because it's not usually guys are not cat people, but you actually stood up for the cat.
We represent
cats. Yes, you represented for the dudes that love cats. How'd you name the cat pimp though, Cornelius?
All right, so let me see. All right, so let me start with how that was presented. Again, we're gonna go back to the editing, right?
Okay.
So we were doing the paint and sip. It wasn't a typical paint and sip where you have, you know, everybody gonna come there, we're gonna paint this flower with the instructor, right? It wasn't like that. It was like, hey, y'all paint whatever.
Yeah.
And then we gonna pass it or something. I had never done that, whatever, right? So I didn't know what to paint. So I was running behind, like I was like, I don't know. I'll paint something. So I started drawing a face. I was gonna paint a person. But then randomly, I just started drawing ears on it or whatever. So it was like a cat or whatever. So that's how it happened. I didn't say, so I was started painting the cat. Joy asked me, "Oh, you painting the cat?" I was like, "Yeah, cats are cool. Right? Ain't nothing wrong with cat. What's wrong with cat, right?"
Yeah.
And so I started painting the cat, but I didn't sit down to paint Pimp. Like that was the way it was. Like I didn't sit down on some morbid, crazy stuff and be like, "I'm gonna paint my dead cat Pimp." That's not how it went. So what happened is, so I sat down, started painting a cat just because it was random stuff to paint, right? And so then they asked me about it in our interview segments. Hey, tell us about Pimp, right? Now, so that's where you get the backstory about Pimp, and I think I told it at the Paint and Sip as well, right?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I had a cat. I also talked about the dog I had. They didn't show that part.
We didn't hear about the dog. We just heard the cat.
Of course, right? So I had a big dog. I had a big dog. I had a cat. I like pets, right?
You like animals. I like that. Okay.
Right. I like pets. So I was talking about dogs and cats and all this, but a lot of Black people have some kind of anti-cat situation, just like they don't like pumpkin spice. They don't like cats either, right? So I was like, yeah, it's weird that people don't like cats, but y'all like lions and all, and big cats, lions and tigers and stuff. And I was like, look, if you know anything about Egyptology, they worship cats.
You did bring that up.
They ain't worship dogs.
Pretty fact, right?
Stuff like that, right? So I was just talking trash about. I was talking about why cats are cooler. What's wrong with a cat, right?
Yeah.
But I definitely 1000% did not sit down and plan to come paint my dead cat. My cat died like 4 or 5 years ago.
No, so that's fine. But I think most importantly the fact that his name was Pimp stood out, and it was funny. It was a funny tidbit.
But yeah, his name from Pimp came from when he was a kitten. I had him since he was a kitten. Mm-hmm. And he was really cute, right? So women, a lot Black women, right? They come to my house. I hate cats. Cats are terrible. I'm gonna kick the cat in the face. Cats take you to cats steal your breath. Cats sneaky, all that kind of stuff, right? All these fables. But then they would see Pimp. Well, they would see him before he ever had a name. They would see him. They'd be like, "Oh my God, but he's so cute," right? And so then 2 minutes after they said they hate all cats, him laying up on their chest, in their lap. He got her fur all over. So I was like, oh, he pimped you, right? So that's where his name Pimp came from. So that's why I named him Pimp, because he was always pulling the ladies.
That's cute. Yeah. That is cute. Well, I'm an animal person, and I hate all the stupid stereotypes that we have in our community about animals. I got a horse, and dudes would be like, "You got a horse?" Like, yeah, like I love animals. I got a horse, I got dogs, but cats are sneaky, Cornelius, but I like them, but they sneaky. They are sneaky.
They can be sneaky, and they'll roll up on you and hit you.
I mean, they're sneaky because they're smart and they're anyway, we get into it. It'll be a whole nother discussion, but I'm with the animal lovers. Another question came in just because people are asking questions about the polyamorous situation. So I believe it was Tiffany asked, do poly relationships have emotional connections, or are they mostly intimate connections? Because those of us on the outside, it just looks like, to me, Tiffany didn't say this, but to me, it does look like a fun time. I'm not into that, but it just looks like people are having sex, and it's just, they want that for the sexual part, not necessarily for the emotional part. So in your opinion, do polyamorous relationships have a strong emotional connection, or is it more physical?
So I think the biggest misconception about poly is that it's based on sex.
It looks like a constant.
I think. What'd you say?
I said it looks like a constant threesome. That's what it looks like.
No. So if people from outside, the community and things like that, they believe that the only reason anybody would do that is so they could just be having threesomes and orgies and all this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
That's not the case from what I've experienced and seen in these communities, as far as all the people I know, the dynamics I know, the couples I know, the triads, quads, all these things that I've seen is not necessarily based. Now you can have sex, right? I mean, like, of course, a lot of people do like to have sexual relationships, but it's not based on sex. Now there's people that practice being swingers and stuff like that, but being a swinger doesn't necessarily mean you poly, right? You could just go outside and find somebody in the street to have a one-night stand with, or a weekend thing.
But if you're a consistent swinger, that would be poly, right? This is the whole educational
No, so like the basis of polyamory, in my opinion, and a lot of people in the community, they'll be like, listen, the basis is actually to foster an actual relationship. So when you're saying you're poly, that means you actually have a real live, legit relationship with this person. It's not just for sex. It's not just for money.
Right.
It's not just for these singular things, right?
Okay.
So you actually have a relationship. So I have a relationship with Tiff. I got a relationship with Cheryl. I got a relationship with whoever, right? These are actual legit relationships.
Gotcha.
Not just like, oh, I just want to bring in a third.
So more needs are being met than just physical. It's emotional, spiritual, everything else.
And anybody that says that they're poly or they practice polyamory, and they're like, oh, it's only based on sex. That's not. The rest of the poly community won't accept that as like really legit, as being. It's called I don't know. I don't want to cuss, but it's called polyephory. Right?
Okay.
So anybody in the community, they will call that's just straight polyephory, because now you messing up everybody else's dynamics, because everybody now gonna look at, if this lady shows up with her husband and her boyfriend, they gonna think, oh, the boyfriend only there for sex. That might not be the case. And now they might say, oh, the husband is bisexual. That might not be the case. He might not even have a relationship with the boyfriend. Or they might have a relationship, but they might not have sex. Or vice versa. Somebody might come in and say, oh, you got 2 or 3, you got a wife and 2 girlfriends, right? That don't mean your wife is bisexual. She might not have sex with none of them, right? Or she could, but like I said, everything is different, but it's definitely not based on sex.
To her point, you're saying that it's not just sexual, it's a real relationship. The whole we could do a whole education
thing
workshop, because I don't understand it, and a lot of people here are asking questions. But I thank you for being honest. Last questions: Did the producers know that you had been in polyamorous relationships? Well, I'm sure that came out in all your therapy, all the information that you gave.
Yeah, we talked about it, and we actually talked about it on the ping pong date, the group date with Paul and Tiff and Sabrina and Precious. When they had me up against the wall, I don't know if y'all saw that, when I was like, oh, y'all going back and forth like red and meth, right? We were talking about that stuff a little bit at that point, right?
Okay.
And like I said, I never represent that I'm like some kind of poly king or something. Like, I don't lie about the fact that I have been in those relationships, right? And I'm familiar with it.
Right.
Somebody I'm more knowledgeable on it than somebody that has never been in it. Right?
Absolutely.
But I by no means believe I'm like the oracle of poly thing. But I did, I have one of my friends does a camp for poly people to come learn, or non-poly people to come learn about the dynamic. And you got triple OG that's been poly for 30, 40 years, right?
Jesus help us.
And they can teach you stuff.
So is that something that you're open to doing again in the future for your own personal future? Would you be willing to be in another polyamorous relationship?
Oh, I could be. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, there you go. I think we definitely, I said earlier on, I was like, let us get to know Cornelius. We know Cornelius a lot better than we did before the show. So before this show started. Hold
on, but let's be clear.
Okay.
99% of my relationships have been monogamous.
And you're open to another monogamous relationship. Doesn't have to be.
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay. What did you learn? I keep saying last question, and I'm lying because I keep asking more questions. What did you learn from Ready to Love as we get ready to wrap this up, guys? I know but we're talking to Cornelius. He got that voice. I keep talking because his voice is nice. So what did you learn from your short, very, very short period of time on the show, if anything, that you would take with you moving forward?
I learned that I definitely need to be probably more assertive.
Okay.
Especially in that scenario. I mean, it's a very unique scenario, but just going forward, I just need to be more assertive.
Yeah.
And The other thing would probably just be to understand the scenario,
Yeah.
right? Be more cognizant of kind of what I'm involved in at this point, right? Specifically with this process,
Yeah.
you know. But
Well,
overall, as far as my dating stuff, I'm
yeah.
sorry, was that?
Well, I'm saying this is not even so much for this process, but just
Yeah,
moving forward, like, just
yeah,
continuing moving forward.
yeah. I mean, just in a general, as far as me dating and things like that, it just probably that'll be the number one thing. Just be more assertive, and I think I do a good job of communicating how I feel about people. Um, but we had a constricted time frame, and
Yeah.
so I wasn't able to establish a lot of, establish how I felt about them people for real. Right. So, but again, I'll be more assertive, a little bit more take charge. I try not to be like that because I think sometimes it can be off putting or putting people in a
I think
scenario where they like,
women like a take charge man, as long as you're not rude,
right,
like,
right,
but we do like, because that suggests that you know what you want. And I
right,
think that's one of the things that Joy said about Clifton. And I think most women agree, like when a man comes in and if you see something you want, you can go after it without being,
right.
annoying and a bugaboo, but being real, honest,
Yeah,
and straightforward is an attractive quality. I think I can speak for a lot of women. We appreciate that, because a lot of men, when a man is kind of laid back, it feels like he doesn't really know what he wants. So
yeah. No, I can appreciate that, but like I said, I think under normal circumstances, I'm definitely good at that because I do know what I like. I
yeah,
know what I don't like too.
yeah,
So as soon as I see it, pretty much, I can kind of get the vibe on it and say, all right, boom, boom,
yeah,
right? But this was a very unique scenario in that situation. But in general, I am a very take charge person because I like for you to know that I like you
that's
because
what
that's going to foster more reciprocity,
yeah.
right? Because if you know, and I know then you need to come back with it too, right?
You
To
need to
let me know
show.
that you wanted me to keep showing you that I'm interested, So
Absolutely.
I think that this was just a very unique situation that didn't foster that for me in this scenario.
Yeah. So, what is the likelihood, get the percentage of us seeing Cornelius in a monogamous marriage? What is the percentage of that moving forward? Say we connect with you in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
What is the percentage, the likelihood of us seeing you locked down? Well, let me not say locked down, because I think marriage is beautiful. But what's the percentage of us, the likelihood of us seeing you in a traditional marriage? Cornelius, what is the likelihood of that happening in the next couple of years?
I think I don't know. Let me see. I would say probably about 70%. We'll go with 70%.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, we'll
All
go
right.
with that.
We're gonna be watching you. We're gonna be watching you. Let people know where they can follow you on social media.
Oh yeah, you can follow me, Cousin Cornbread. You can type Cousin Cornbread on any social media platform. If I'm on the platform, it's under Cousin Cornbread, and it's all spelled correctly. So no fugazi spellings about nothing. It's spelled properly. So Cousin Cornbread on Instagram, Facebook, everything.
All of that. All of that. Well,
And
definitely.
cousincornbread.com is just my site. You
Okay.
can go on there. You can go on there and find everything that I do out your social media, hosting, real estate,
Nice.
all that.
All of that. Well, thank you for hanging out with us,
No problem.
Cornbread, on Valentine's Day. I hope you had a
Hey,
beautiful Valentine's Day.
hey,
Um,
you
maybe
too.
we got more to come. It's still
Mm.
early. The
Hey,
night is
right there you go. Yeah. I said when I saw the invite, I was like, oh, they must know I don't got. They trying to tell you I ain't got no Valentine's Day. How y'all gonna try to get me?
not at all. I was like, I hope Cornelius is okay. I hope you can tell her to hold on. We're gonna let you go after. But thank you so much for hanging out. We'll definitely be looking forward to seeing you come back for the reunion, and then keep us posted. Keep us posted on what it looks like. You definitely opened our eyes. We've never had a conversation about polyamory in regards to Ready to Love. So I appreciate you being honest about that. And like I said, we'll be watching. Come back and let us know any new developments.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you know, and I'm gonna tag you. I got I did a I did a whole panel discussion about poly. I'm gonna post it real
Do it.
soon.
Come on. Yeah. In fact,
I'm gonna tag it. I'll tag you on there. You can share it out to
yeah, I
anybody that's
will.
interested.
And I'll have you come back and we can talk about that. I have a radio show too.
Okay.
We could talk about it because I think it's rare that people are honest about it. But I do think that there are a lot of people that are, as people are saying in the comments, that are in polyamorous relationships and don't know it.
Don't even know it.
So if you are a gentleman out there or a lady and you are lying, we want you to free yourself from the lies. We want
Don't
you
lie.
to free yourself. This is a no lie zone. This is 2022. Everybody should be able to get the life that they want, the life that is best for them. And all you're doing with lying is limiting yourself and the person that you're with. So don't lie. Follow Cousin Cornbread's lead and
Don't lie. Ain't no reason to lie. If you fine, they gonna know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, thank you, Cornelius. We'll let you get back to your Valentine's Day proclivities, and we will see you soon. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for hanging out.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. You guys know I love it. Every time we have a conversation is great. Your comments are awesome. They give me life. They keep me going. Again, I want to tell people you can get this tank that says endless self-love, which is the most important love because that is the love that draws every other love to you. Your love with God and your love with yourself, and that pulls everything to you. So focus on that. I wish you guys so much love tonight, but every night, but especially tonight on Valentine's Day. And I will be back on Friday with another Ready to Love alum. And we also have a special surprise coming up after that. So stay tuned right here on Friday night, as always, on Rolling Out and from Cristal XO. I love you for watching. Give some love tonight. Don't let the night end without telling someone that's important to you that you love them and sending something positive that way. I'll see you guys on Friday. Bye-bye.